Hello everybody, welcome to my starter guide. That was probably quite loud, but in this video I'm going to be helping beginners to Minecraft and people who are reasonably experienced with Minecraft get started out. So this video will cover the first half an hour worth of gameplay, and we'll take a look at the settings to see what kind of settings are useful and which aren't. So before we even get started here, I gotta say, if you're on a laptop and using your mouse pad, your trackpad, and the built-in keyboard, then you're probably not going to do very well, even with this guide. So, I would advise, even with a laptop, keyboard and mouse is essential. So, even get an external keyboard and an external mouse for your laptop. I know it sounds strange, but it really does help. Also, you need a decent audio system, so something like a headset is fine. Speakers tend to not be so good, but a headset is needed. You need something to play audio. So now we're going to have a quick look at the settings. Now, this tutorial is going to cover hard difficulty. This will cover any difficulty apart from peaceful. Obviously in peaceful, all you have to do is take the mobs out of the equation. So, as you can see, I have my FOV, which is field of view, that's a 90, which is the default field of view. You probably won't want to change this, but it goes from 70 to 110. So 70 is classed as normal, I have it at 90, and 110 is classed as Quake Pro. My music and sound options are set to master volume 40%. I would advise placing this between 40 and 50%. My music is set to 14%. Now I would advise somewhere between 10% if you're doing a video, between 10 and 20% if you're doing a video, and between 20 and 40% if you're just playing. I would always advise to turn your weather sounds off. Now, this doesn't stop the weather happening, this is just the sounds. So I would advise having this below 5% if you have it on at all. I do not. I would leave everything else at 100%. Now, the rest of the settings, apart from video settings, should correct. You may want to take a quick look at your controls and make sure they are alright. Now, in fact, there is something here which I would advise changing, which is your sensitivity. Now, by default, this is at 100%. That is normal. I would very much advise pulling this down to around 50 to 55%. I find 52% to be adequate. If you would like to do parkour and those kind of things, 52% is almost a must, because it gives you the fine control, but it still doesn't require you to move your mouse all that much. I would advise adding the cinematic camera as F8. The cinematic camera was in Minecraft prior to it releasing to full, and it was always on the F8 key. All it does is allow you to smooth your camera movement. All the rest of these should be fine. Streaming will not be needed unless you plan on streaming to either YouTube or Twitch, or any other streaming service. Now we'll move on to video settings. I have a pretty decent computer, so these settings probably won't apply to you. However, my graphics are fancy. What fast does, which is the other option, mostly just makes leaves transparent and other weird little changes which don't affect your frame rate all that much. You see max frame rate over here, mine is 120. That tends to be pretty stable for me. Most people's computers normally are able to handle between 30 and 40 FPS. So in most situations, I'd say leave it at about 60 FPS. If you know your computer is good, set it to 120. If you know that you have an extremely good PC, you may even want to push it to unlimited. I would not advise unlimited on an average PC. Render distance on my computer, 12 chunks is fine. I do believe 12 chunks is the same as far render distance was before the updates. Setting it to 16 is probably classed as excessive. Smooth lighting at maximum is heavily non-recommended because it really pulls your performance right down. You will lose a lot of frames per second, or FPS. So I have mine set to minimum. Obviously 3D anaglyph I have set to off because I don't want 3D. I have view bobbing set to on. Now I've watched a couple of videos recently where people have had bobbing off. Bobbing doesn't affect your frame rate much at all, and it is a much larger improvement. Or, failing to speak, it is a great big improvement if you have it on. I have my GUI scale at normal. This is large, and I think this is way too big. Auto makes it sometimes even larger. This is small, and I believe that's too small, so I like normal. I have advanced OpenGL on. I have plus 80% brightness. My brightness is at a reasonable level for me to see in dark places at a reasonable level, although it will not work for YouTube videos. So you will still need torches even at bright brightness. I would heavily advise that you turn clouds to off. This will stop clouds from getting in your way on lots of servers and if you're high up in the sky. I have my particle set to all. Now, I haven't seen much of a frame rate increase by setting it to decreased or minimal. All will have every particle available on. Decreased will remove some, but still have the same particles in the same places, just less of them. And minimal removes all of the particles as far as I know. This can be bad for your gameplay because you don't know if lava or water is above you, is one block directly above the block you're about to break. So I have this set to all, and I would heavily advise doing that if your computer can cope. I have server textures to on. This is really useful when you join a server which has its own resource pack. Resource packs are packs of textures and sounds and assets, which are really useful. When you join a server with a custom resource pack, or server texture pack, it will ask you whether you want to download it or not. So it is up to you per server. You do not have to download it even if this is on. I will advise turning full screen off and pulling your window, or maximizing your window, making your window nice and large. That's what I would advise. If you plan to record, you will have to stretch the image to whichever screen, to whichever recorder you use. Now, I don't just heavily advise, I'd say it is the most useful thing in this list of texture things. Use VSync must be set to off. If my VSync is on, I drop down to 60 frames per second. Now I do believe this is because that VSync... Wow, that was bad. I do believe that's because VSync limits your frame rate to 60. I can't be sure on this though. But on lots of other games, including this one, VSync is a massive performance drain. I have my mipmap level set to 4 and my anisotropic filtering set to 16. This, I haven't seen make any difference, but I've just left that as its default. So that is the video settings. There are also resource packs that we were talking about earlier. You can download your own, which you open resource pack folder and place your resource packs in the folder that pops up. There should be instructions on the resource pack's website on how to install it correctly. A lot of them are different. Now, let's get on to some gameplay. Now, I am going to play this with... I'm going to play it in survival mode. I'm going to play it with a default world. I'm not going to have a bonus chest. I'm going to generate structures. So here, you pick a world name. New world is not advised. So I'm just going to pick Minecraft Guide World. Most of you who watch this video will probably pick something like First World or that kind of area. But it's up to you to name it whatever you like. This can include numbers and symbols, or at least certain symbols. For instance, dots will work in Minecraft, but as you notice here, will be saved in Minecraft Guide World ____. So it cannot cope with full stops in the world name. Can't cope with slashes or backslashes and other things which I won't go into. So once you've picked a world name, set your game mode, and chosen your other options, I would advise against allowing cheats unless you're building a map of some sort. Now, bonus chest, although it's useful, we won't be covering it in this video. Once you've picked everything, out of 3 options, you have survival, hardcore, and creative. Survival, you gotta search for resources, you can craft, you can gain levels, health, and hunger. Hardcore is the same as survival mode, but it's locked at hard mode, and you only get 1 life. And once you lose that life, you have to delete your world. And then there is creative. This is unlimited resources. You can fly and you can destroy and place... well, you can destroy blocks instantly. We're going to pick survival. So you click create new world and it will go through the process of creating your world. In this tutorial, we'll be going over the first half an hour of gameplay, teaching you all you need to know. Now, when your world loads up for the first time, you may notice some lag. This isn't your computer normally, it's just the world being generated around you. If you press escape, it sometimes generates faster. So just press escape again, turn around a bit, and now I have no lag at all. So, another thing that's quite useful to know is if you press F3, you open these things at the top right and the top left. In the top left, you see X:, Y:, and Z:. These are your coordinates. Now, on servers, people may ask you for your coordinates. This is where you find them, by pressing F3. I tend to leave these up all the time. You'll notice the Y coordinate doesn't move until I jump or fall. That's because the Y coordinate is your current altitude or your current layer. Now, on with the actual guide part of this video. So, at the start of the game, you need to collect. I find it's best to try and collect between 5 and 8 blocks. Now, most people will say, no, you need loads more logs than that. Well, not really. If you play the game quite quickly, you will only need between 5 and 8 logs. So, by default, your inventory control is E. This is the inventory. You see on the top left you have armor. All of these squares are inventory squares, and this over here is a crafting grid. This is where you can take your item. I am going to left click on this oak wood and left click in the crafting table. And you can see that this makes this. So logs make planks. I can left click once to take 1 set. I can shift click to take all, and it'll automatically put it in my inventory. Now I'm going to take these planks and I'm going to place them like this. This will make sticks. Now, this is a pretty tedious process of clicking over and over. By the way, doing this will create you a crafting table. 4 planks. You will need this to create what we need soon, so create one of those. But you will notice that that is pretty tedious. If I hold down right click, I can place them automatically in both boxes, helping out along the way. You can also hold left click to place as many as you possibly can. Also double click on one of these to receive them all back in one cursor, no matter where these are in your inventory. Like so. Now, for the next part, we need to place down our crafting table. So, by the way, you left click to break blocks. You hold left click. Do not press, as most people tend to do. You do need to hold down the button. This is what will happen if you press. Okay, so you need to hold it down. Now, to place blocks, you need to right click. So I'm going to right click here to place my crafting table. Okay. By the way, it's rather easy to use inventory management. So, you see I've placed a dirt block here. If I grab another dirt block, it will go with that dirt block. Now I have 2 dirt blocks. I can right click anywhere to place these dirt blocks. Handy. And it's always useful to have some blocks in your hotbar that you can scroll to reach them at the bottom at any time. I tend to place them in the 3rd slot from the right. So, now we are going to, well, before I say what we're going to do, we're going to look at the sun. Now, obviously this isn't recommended in real life, but it is in Minecraft. So, I can judge which way the sun is moving by placing my cursor in the center and waiting a few seconds to see where it goes. If the cursor goes up the sun, then the sun is going down. If the cursor goes down the sun, then the sun is going up. Currently the sun is going up, which means we have not yet reached midday, so we are still safe from the monsters which lurk the night. Or, I should say, which lurk the dark. So now we are going to place blocks in a certain fashion to create tools. So you saw then I placed a stick 2 planks above it to create a sword. And now I'm placing 2 sticks with 3 oak above it to create a pickaxe. Many people say that you should make all 4 sets of tools before continuing your journey. I disagree heavily. I feel that you should only make your basic tools, so pickaxe and sword. So you want to dig down until you find some stone. This isn't very difficult. You will need to mine 3 pieces of cobblestone. You can see this here in my hotbar. Now, I'm going to run over to my crafting table. Now to run, you either double tap W, you single tap Control, or you single tap certain other buttons on your keyboard. I think this is currently a bug. But normally, you single tap Control or double tap W. Now over here is a burning zombie. Zombies burn up in the daylight. You can attack it by simply left clicking on it with the sword. But you have to be within range. It seems zombies don't like me today and want to kill me. So we can do this at any point, even when they aren't on fire. You see this zombie dropped rotten flesh. You can eat rotten flesh, although it isn't advised. So, we now have a sword, and we now have a pickaxe, and we now have 3 cobble and some wood. So what I'm going to do now is do the same pickaxe pattern, but with stone. That makes us a stone pickaxe. Now we can replace our wooden pickaxe. I wouldn't advise dropping the wooden pickaxe yet, as we may need it in future. Now that you have your stone pickaxe, I would advise going back into your mine and mining 19 more cobblestone. Now, what luck! We found some coal. And we've also found another zombie. But I'm not going to worry about that. So, we have found some coal. Now, coal is used to make torches and to fuel your furnaces. And it can be used for a couple of other things as well, as far as I know. So, I've mined a little bit too much cobble here, but that doesn't matter, as we may need it in future. Now, I'm going to go ahead and mine this coal. Now, there will be more coal underneath the coal I just mined, so it's a good idea to mine more. Now, you may notice the blocks that I'm breaking aren't breaking at the same time as it's supposed to. This is known as block lag. And it shouldn't currently be happening. This is a cave. These are quite dangerous to go in at the start of the game, but they're not deadly. If you know what you're doing, you will not die. And if you follow this tutorial correctly, hopefully you won't either. So, once you've mined your coal, you can leave your mining area. Now, I was lucky enough to find some iron there as well. This is what iron looks like. Now, we were very lucky to get 6 iron. This gives us enough to create an iron pickaxe. However, the zombies are closing in on us from all directions. This does not usually happen and is very, very confusing as to why. I'm very, very confused as to why it's happening now. So, I am going to make some torches. You may have noticed that it was quite dark in that cave. So I'm going to take half of my coal and a few sticks to make some torches. Now, you may notice as well that I split that stack in half. To do this, you right click on the stack. You split a stack directly in half. But what about these 3 sticks? That can't split in half. No, it can't. So it always tries to take more rather than less. So this will take 2 sticks out of the 3. So if you put coal on top of sticks, it creates torches. Again, I shift clicked to create them all at once and put them in my hotbar. Now at this point, my hunger bar, which is represented by the meat chunks, or the meat sticks at the bottom right or above and to the right of my hotbar, represents your hunger. You may notice that is jiggling around a little bit. This means that I'm running out of what we call saturation. Once saturation is all gone, those things will start depleting. As you saw there, we lost half of a hunger chunk. Now, back there were some sheep. Sheep do not currently give any food, and they are unlikely to give food anytime in the future. Now, what I should have done back at the crafting table is made a stone sword. I haven't done this, so now I have to use 2 hits with my wooden sword to kill these pigs. Not a big problem. But it is wasting a small amount of our time. Now, in the latest update, which is 1.7.4, I seem to be getting these simple little lag spikes every now and again, but only in certain areas. Other than that, I tend to be above 60 frames per second while recording. Now, you may notice I am sprint jumping. Sprint jumping is the art of sprinting and then holding down space or tapping space. I prefer to tap it, it gives you more control. Now, I am also strafe jumping. A lot of people don't understand this. So, for instance, this crafting table is in front and to the right of me. What happens if I do this? Well, that's easier to fail like that. If I was to go like this and then strafe jump on, it would be a lot easier. So now I have food, and I'm on half hunger, I'm going to break my crafting table. You may think I'm an idiot. Well, I am, but that's for a different day. What we're going to do is find a nice, low location to start in mine. Now, most people at the start of their worlds try and find a cave. Now, that's probably a bad idea when you first start out. So I am going to mine down like this. This is quite a common tactic. I'm also going to place a torch and block myself in. You may think I'm stupid for doing that, but I can just break these blocks. Get out. Now, I am getting way too hungry. So, now that this place is lit up, and I'm safe from the monsters, I can make a furnace, and I can replace my crafting table. I don't currently have a furnace, so I'm going to have to place down my crafting table, right-click it, and make one, using 8 cobblestone as a square. I'll place this furnace next to my crafting table. Now I'm going to shift-click the iron ore into the furnace, and place a single coal. One coal will smelt 8 pieces, or 8 things. Now, that is iron. Now I'm going to, because I've picked up enough cobblestone, I'm going to make a second furnace. And in this one, I'm going to smelt this 8 raw pork chops. Now, once these are smelted, they will become cooked pork chops. Obviously, you'd think, wouldn't you? So these are cooked pork chops. I'm going to shift-click this into my hotbar, and I'm going to eat it by holding right-click. Now, cooked pork chops and cooked steak will regenerate 4 hunger chunks and give you a lot of what we call saturation, which I was talking about earlier, which means you don't have to eat a lot. You don't have to eat very often if you eat things like cooked steak and cooked pork chops. Now, I'm just going to leave my furnaces to smelt, as long as the chunks are loaded, which is another thing. Chunks will load if you're a certain distance away. If these chunks with these furnaces unload, then they will stop smelting. Now, I have forgotten to explain another important thing. What is really important to do is make 2 stone swords, just by putting 2 of the ingredients and then shift-clicking. It will make as many as it possibly can. So we make 2 stone swords, and we're going to make another stone pickaxe, because we will be needing it. We are also going to make a stone spade, like so, and we're also going to make a stone axe, like so. Now, because we have enough resources still left over, no, we don't. Wow. Okay, so I have just pulled the iron that I received earlier out of the furnace, and now I'm going to take my sticks and some iron to create an iron pickaxe. I'm going to put this in another area of my hotbar, because if this iron pickaxe breaks, I can't make a new one. I'm going to take my food out of the top chest, of the top furnace, and I'm going to venture into this mine. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to take this crafting table and both of these furnaces, or furnace if you want, down with me. This will help me later on. Now, on your way down, you will probably come across lots of iron and lots of coal. This is the part of the video which I will probably leave an annotation linking to when I reach the bottom, because this will not be very exciting. During this time, you are gaining lots of cobblestone, and if you find it, coal, as I just mined, and iron. As I'm here and there is coal around, I'm going to mine it, just because it will come in useful later on. Try not to stay here mining coal for too long though, because it isn't that useful at this early stage in the game. Make sure you keep everything nice and lit up, otherwise monsters could start spawning. Up in the top left there is a bee, well, there is an F underneath the Z. There is an LC underneath the F. There is a B next to the LC. Ah, okay. My pickaxe just broke, so it's lucky I made a new one. I now have 24 coal, and I'm now going to continue my mine. I'm going to cover up that hole so I can still get back up. So next to that B plains, there is the B plains is the current biome. So where the B is the biome. We are in a plains biome. Now the BL stands for block light, so we are currently in block light 9. And now we're in block light 7. And now we're in block light 5. And now we're in block light 3. And now we're in block light 1, and now we have no block light at all. So, let's move back up. We need to get this all the way up above 7. Because as soon as it hits 7, mobs can spawn. So monsters. Now, down at about where it says 1, place a torch. Now, nowhere should have a 7. Now, I would always advise placing a torch one above, so there is a hole. So if you manage to drop water into your mine, which I have done, and many people have done, most people have done, it will not disturb the torches. Whenever your block light reaches 1, place a torch on the wall. Now, you'll notice I am digging a too high tunnel. Now this presents a problem when I try and get out. I hit my head on the ceiling. When you become more experienced and you have more resources to spare, you will want to build 3 high tunnels. And now I'm failing with my words. Okay, this is lucky. I have found a cave. I was hoping this would happen. Caves are normally quite lucrative, but quite dangerous. So here we found some gold. Now we can mine gold with our iron pickaxe. This is why we made it. Partly for gold and partly for the best resource in the game, which is diamonds. You can only mine diamonds with an iron pickaxe. Now, there was lava back there. And I don't really want to go that direction, but I'm going to. Now, lava doesn't normally present much of an issue, as long as you're careful. Now this is water. You may have seen some of it earlier, but it does slow you down when you walk in it, even if you're walking in the opposite direction, in the same direction as the stream. At this moment, I'm just going to block it off. I'm not actually going to destroy it. You see, it's still back there. If you place a block in it, which you can, it will destroy the water stream and the source block behind it. So, as long as you're careful, you can stay near lava for a very long time, and there is no heat in the game. You can stay next to lava for as long as you want. Now, above and to the left of my hotbar, there is a health bar. I have lost 1.5 hearts, which I am gaining back pretty rapidly. Now, I'm losing hearts because these skeletons are attacking me. If I lose all 10 hearts, I will die. At this point in the game, I will actually want to block off this water so that I can escape if needed. Now, there is some iron there. Now, this is gravel. Now, gravel obeys gravity. So it's always best to avoid standing on it near lava. So I'm actually going to build a bridge. That bridge failed because of that bat. I'm going to build a bridge just to be 100% sure that I won't fall in that lava. So, this is the iron. This is some more iron that we were talking about earlier. We want to collect as much of this as possible because our major goal is to get iron armor in half an hour. So by the time we reach the half an hour mark, we should have a full set of iron armor. I'm going to let these skeletons come up to me because it's easier to fight them on a corner. If you can get them trapped in a corner, it's a lot easier to fight. At the start of the game with no armor, you may find it quite difficult to stay alive. As long as you aren't playing on hardcore mode, this shouldn't be an issue. At this point, I need to run because otherwise I will die. Now, I'm running into a dark cave, and you may think that's a bad idea. Sometimes it is, and normally it is, and that's a witch. Okay, so I've gotten myself into a bad position, so I'm going to run up back to the top of the mine, and you'll notice that my health has stopped regenning. The reason? Because my food bar is not full. If there is over one food chunk missing, it will not regen. And it's a good idea to be able to regen in this kind of situation. Now, in a situation like this, where we have 3.5 hearts, it's a bad idea for us to go back. And it could well take, in a situation like this, more than half an hour to collect your iron armor. Now, at this point, we have our furnaces, so I'm going to go ahead and place them down in a station-like area over here. I'm going to fill them up with some coal, and I'm going to place my iron in one of them. I'm going to take my coal out of one of them and make a few more torches. Now, I missed out one vital part because I was talking too much, which is, at the start of the game, you do want to get a little bit more wood before you come down into these mines. Otherwise, you will start to struggle, like I am. Because you will run out of torches quite quickly from the ones we had at the start. This here is redstone. You cannot mine it with a stone pickaxe, you will need an iron pickaxe. Iron pickaxes also work on stone. Now, redstone is a complex mechanic which is based around electricity and other things like that. You can create complex contraptions using redstone, but this is not going to be a part of this tutorial. Running through, I found quite a lot of iron. Hopefully this will be enough to show off the armor. Now, when playing on multiplayer, I would always advise getting all of this stuff times the amount of players that are playing. So, for instance, at the start of the game, instead of getting 5 to 8 in total logs, you will need 5 to 8 logs per player that is on your team. There are lots of glitches and bugs in the game, but most of them aren't very game-changing. Now, if you're recording a YouTube video, you don't want to be venturing into dark caves like this. The reason I'm doing it is because I really need to find some iron. And I don't have any torches. If you are recording a video, it's always really useful to get torches quite quickly. But this time, I can't risk going back up to the surface, so I'm just staying down here without any torches. I'm trying to stick in the areas that I've explored. However, this does mean that I am running out of time in my half an hour to get my iron needed. By the way, if you're falling when you hit a mob, such as this, you will do a crit. A crit, or a critical hit, is noted by stars around the thing you're attacking. You'll notice I took a lot of damage during that fight, so I'll need to eat and start regenerating. So, now I'm going to go back up here with my kind of failed trip to try and find enough iron. In fact, I may have just saved myself. I've just seen some over here. Can place cobblestone, so bear that in mind when going over to different areas. Now, gravel is very bad for getting to new areas, because gravel obeys gravity. None of these other blocks obey gravity. I'm missing 2.5 hearts currently. I am in a battle ready condition, but it would be best if I stay out of battle. Now, I currently have enough iron, including the stuff I have back over at this furnace, to make a full set of iron armor. So if I go ahead and I place half of this in here, half of this in here, I shift click on that to take it out. Within a minute or two, I should have enough iron to create a full set of armor. So here, I'm just waiting for all of this iron to cook. One set of armor requires 24 of the resource that you need. For instance, you can make leather armor. To create a full set of leather armor, you need 24 leather. To create a full set of iron armor, you need 24 iron. To create a full set of diamond armor, you need 24 diamond, and so on. You also get what we call experience from mining, and smelting, fishing, and killing mobs. Currently I have 10 levels of experience within half an hour. That's pretty good. So now I have my 24 iron required to craft my armor. So I go over to the crafting table, and to create a chest plate, you drop in the crafting table like so. Now I have an iron chest plate. To create a helmet, you craft like so. To create leggings, you craft like so. To create shoes, you craft like so. You can equip these by opening your inventory and shift clicking on the item, or you can drag and drop it into its slot, or if it's in your hotbar, you can equip it by right clicking when it's in your hand. Now you'll notice I have iron armor on. Now I am much more well equipped to fight the mobs in this mine. That is an Enderman. Based on Slenderman, I will assume, and very deadly to someone without armor and without experience in fighting them. To fight them, I would advise hitting them on the feet. That stops them from teleporting away. And also, try not to look at them, because if you look at them, they will get angry at you and try and attack you. Creepers blow up, as you can see. If you don't take them out efficiently, they will blow up and break blocks and destroy other things. An efficient way to attack a creeper is not what I just did, but in fact to sprint at it, which will make you do knockback, which will make yourself knock them back and stop them from blowing up in time. I would always advise not to just back away from creepers, but to sprint at them, attack them, and then back away. I also have enough iron here to craft swords and more pickaxes and other things, in the same way that we made the stone tools. I hope that's covered everything. If it hasn't, please let me know in the comments below. I hope this helps everybody get started in Minecraft whenever you need to start a new world, or whenever you start on a server, or anything like that. This guide should come in helpful. So, we managed to get a full set of iron armor within half an hour. Very good. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.